The morning mist hung heavy and golden over the Virunga forest. Through the canopy, sunlight sliced downwards, illuminating leaves still wet with dew. The jungle was coming alive. You could hear the distant calls of hornbills, the faint chatter of monkeys. Beneath it all was this deep, constant pulse of life that you can just feel in your bones. But then, a different sound cut through the hush. A soft whimper. It wasn't a bird, and it wasn't any other creature you'd expect to hear. It was softer, filled with fear, a cry too young to be out here all alone. Down a narrow game trail, a small figure appeared, helpless. An infant gorilla, maybe 2 years old, was stumbling through the thick vines as if running from ghosts. Its black fur was caked with mud, and its tiny hands, trembling, clutched a broken twig like a lifeline. Every step was hesitant, uncertain, the kind of steps you only take when you are completely and utterly lost. Somewhere, far behind it, the forest held echoes of chaos. You could see the signs, broken branches, startled birds taking flight. It hinted at something big, maybe a predator on the hunt or a clash between rival guerrilla troops. Whatever it was, it had pushed this fragile, tiny creature into unfamiliar, dangerous territory. The infant stopped, its little chest heaving. It looked around, its nostrils flaring, trying to catch a scent of safety. But the air was thick with the smell of recent rain and a palpable tension. And then, faintly, through the trees, a new sound emerged, the hum of human voices. Ranger Daniel Nyaga was on his daily morning patrol, walking the western slope of the reserve. His boots made almost no sound on the damp soil as he scanned the jungle's edge for any sign of poachers or animals in distress. The rain from the night before had washed the trails clean, making them a blank slate, except for one thing: tiny prints. He crouched low, his eyes tracing the delicate impressions in the mud, the shape of the toes, the slight drag marks. It was unmistakable. Gorilla, he murmured to himself, but small, very small. Just then, the sound came again from deep within the trees, that same whimper, but closer now. Daniel froze. His hand instinctively reached for his radio, but he paused. The cry was desperate, and it was too near to just call in. He had to see for himself. He began to move toward the sound, slow and deliberate, the way you'd approach a frightened child, not wanting to cause any more alarm. And then he saw it. The infant gorilla stumbled into a small clearing no more than a few meters away. Its eyes, dark, liquid, and glistening with fear, locked onto his instantly. For a long, silent moment, neither of them moved. It was as if the entire jungle was holding its breath, watching. Then the infant took a single trembling step forward. Daniel immediately lowered himself to one knee, trying to make himself smaller, less of a threat. His rifle, usually a tool of his trade, hung forgotten at his shoulder. "It's okay," he whispered, his voice low and steady, like the heartbeat of the forest itself. He knew the words meant nothing, but the tone, the calm energy, that was a language that could cross any barrier. The little gorilla paused, studying him. Its nostrils flared again, taking in the unfamiliar scent of a human: sweat, metal, and damp earth. It made its choice. With a sudden burst of motion, the infant rushed forward, half running, half falling through the ferns. Daniel barely had time to react before the small, trembling body collided with him, pressing itself hard against his chest. He froze, not out of fear, but out of pure awe. The gorilla's tiny hands gripped the fabric of his uniform, clutching on for dear life. Daniel looked down, and his entire expression softened. "You're safe now," he breathed, the words barely a whisper. Around them, the jungle began to stir again. But then a loud crack echoed through the trees. Daniel turned his head sharply. Something large was moving towards them. A full-grown female gorilla, broad-shouldered and immensely powerful. Her chest rose and fell heavily. Her fur was matted with dirt, and one of her arms had fresh, deep scratches. The infant in Daniel's arms stirred, letting out a low, soft cry. Daniel's muscles tensed. The wild mother's gaze was fixed directly on him, and in that moment, predator and protector were one and the same. two different beings from two different worlds, united by the single, powerful instinct to defend a child. Slowly, carefully, Daniel opened his hands, showing his palms upward. It was a universal gesture. No threat. He made no sound. There was only the sound of their shared breath in the quiet air between them. Step by step, the mother closed the distance. When she was just a few feet away, she extended a hand toward her child. The infant hesitated for only a second, then reached out. Daniel watched, completely motionless, as the young gorilla slipped from his arms and into the waiting, gentle grasp of its mother. It was an almost sacred moment, a profound reunion witnessed only by the ancient forest. The mother pulled her baby close, cradling it and letting out a low, rumbling hum of comfort. Her eyes lifted one last time to meet Daniel's, and for a fleeting instant, there was a flash of understanding, a silent acknowledgement between two guardians of the same fragile world. Then she turned, without a sound, without any haste. The great ape and her child melted back into the green tapestry of the jungle, disappearing as quickly as they had appeared. Daniel remained kneeling, his breath finally returning to a slow, steady rhythm. His uniform was streaked with mud and marked with the tiny handprints of the infant he'd held. The jungle had fully returned to life around him. Birds were calling, leaves were whispering in the breeze, the eternal rhythm continuing on. He smiled faintly, his eyes tracing the path where they had gone. "You're safe," he murmured again, but this time it was more to himself. In the wild, fear speaks a language older than words, but so does trust. That morning in Virunga, it wasn't power or courage that bridged the gap between two species. It was something much simpler. The quiet, shared instinct to protect what is fragile and small. For every act of understanding like this, between humans and the wild, the forest itself seems to breathe a little easier, reminded that compassion too is a fundamental part of nature. Thank you so much for watching this incredible story unfold. If you were as moved as we were, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the heart of the wild. We'll see you next time.